And welcome to the Pekin First podcast. I am Josh, and I get to serve as the Director of Online Ministries.
And I'm Sean, and I get to serve as the pastor here at Pekin First.
Welcome to episode 4. This is, we're calling this one Joy in a Biscuit. For the, this week, the sermon series is going to focus on joy. Yeah. And I heard a little story this week, so we want to, it's Joy in a Biscuit.
Joy in a Biscuit.
And coming from the South, this should resonate home.
Absolutely. I hope you read it with a Southern accent too. You should.
I don't know if I can do that. As we start every podcast, we're going to start with this week's personal best, and I will start with you this week, Sean.
Oh, okay. So my personal best has been kind of today. It really is a very interesting day here in Central Illinois. If you are listening or watching from anywhere outside of Central Illinois, especially if you're down south, stuff has been falling from the sky today, frozen water and lots of it. So it's been an amazing day. I remember seeing snow when I was a kid, and it's been a long, long time. I mean, I've lived in Florida and Alabama for 45 years, and so coming up here this year, I knew I was probably going to get some snow this winter, but it's come fairly early this year, I guess, and it's been great. I'm not really enjoying driving in it so much yet, but it's not terrible. But just actually seeing it come down and being able to experience it is magical.
Yeah, you got to go out and do snow angels.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, they're going to have to go to Facebook to check that one out. Go to our Pekin First Facebook page. I'm inviting folks to worship this weekend by doing a snow angel.
First snow angel,
yeah.
And then the driving in it is a little difficult. Just for those of you, we've got about a little under 2 inches on the ground is what it's looking like. And it's still coming. And they said we were going to get about an inch. And usually, so in Central Illinois, when they project that we're going to get an inch, we get like 6.
Oh, wow.
And then when they project we're going to get 10 to 12, we get just dusting. So it's all backwards for some odd reason.
Right.
My personal best this week is today. My wife started her new job.
Yeah.
This week has been a transformational week for our family. Just some different steps in my career. Not a whole new career for my wife, but a new journey for my wife. And we made it through without coming unglued on each other. You know what I mean? Just, and then, got grandbaby's birthday and just all kinds of stuff going on. So making it through the week on prayers and, just having faith that the next step is the right one.
Yeah.
So
Christmas concerts tonight and all kinds of good things.
Yeah. I got to Metamora. I got to go to Metamora for a Christmas concert for my youngest. So, this week, I was, scrolling through Facebook, and you know how you get stuck in Facebook sometimes. And I went down that wormhole, and I knew we were what we were going to do the podcast on. I still hadn't come out with an outline, and so I'm scrolling through Facebook, just kind of letting my mind go at ease. And so I listened to this reel about a preacher that went to a restaurant and was there for lunch. And there were many, he described his lunch as just bad, right? Just things wrong with the food when it come out. And he didn't really say anything until the waitress happened to come by and she asked how his meal was. And he was honest and he said, well, it really wasn't so good. And the waitress apologized up and down and said, is there anything I can bring you? And he said, you can bring me a fresh biscuit out of the oven. And he said, I don't care how long it takes. I will sit here and wait. And it wasn't, I think he said it wasn't 5-10 minutes later. Here she come and she had a whole basket of fresh baked biscuits. And he said, I took that biscuit and I pulled it apart. And on one side, I put butter. And on the other side, I put jelly. And now I'm not from the South and I've never done the butter and the jelly thing.
Yeah, you got to do both.
I've done one or the other, right?
Maybe some molasses, maybe some honey. You never know what peanut butter. You put all kinds of good things on biscuits. Yeah.
So he said, then I put that biscuit together and I took a bite. And he said he made it sound like, right? It was good.
Yeah.
The meal, and so the point of that is the meal that he had just got done with was not so good. And he concentrated on that biscuit. And how good it was seemed to overshadow the bad meal he just had.
Yeah.
We all have bad in our stories, right? We all have made poor decisions, morally wrong decisions, whatever that may be. There's pain, there's tragedy, rejection, sin. Joy is about not concentrating on the things in our past, but concentrating on what God has done for us.
Yeah.
Just like the joy in that biscuit that overshadowed a bad meal, the joy that God provides will overshadow the bad things in our past.
Yeah, that's so good. So good. And joy also is not a feeling necessarily. You know, we think about joy and sometimes we misunderstand. We think it's happiness, and happiness is really based on circumstances and happenings and things going well for us. Joy is a fruit of the Spirit. Joy is something that only comes from God. It comes from the Spirit. To really experience full joy, you've got to be able to understand God's grace and God's love for you, and that's when we really begin to see that the stuff of the world, which is difficult and challenging, and it is, I think so many people feel like you become a Christian and all your problems go away, and it's just not true. In fact, Jesus said, in this world you will have trouble, but be of good cheer, for I've overcome the world. And that's where our joy comes from. It's not about all the stuff happening the way we want it to happen in our lives. It's about an inward contentment and a sense that God loves us. He has a plan for us. He's going to be with us and see us through all of this. And it's also really attached, and I'll share more this weekend on this, these 4 themes of hope and love and joy and peace. They really all go together. You can't necessarily experience joy without the hope, and then that plays itself out in the way that we love others, and then ultimately brings us a peace. It's just a wonderful dynamic, and so I love joy.
Yeah, and as if you're in the middle of that downturn or those hills, I call them. I always call them hills. If you're in the middle of that, just know that there's a reason for it.
Right.
And we'll discuss that actually next month, right? The half truths.
Sure.
And just there's a reason for it. And at the end, God promises joy. And so I picked out this scripture, and it's James 1, 2, and 3, and it says, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance." And so what that brought to my mind is we were in a meeting a couple days ago, and somebody had said a family member had went through just an awful divorce, and it was just awful, and she hated watching this family member go through that. But at the end, she said, "Now I look at where this person is and what their life is like, and I get it."
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The lessons that were learned in there, you had to go through that to get to this, and the joy in their life is just fantastic.
It's so backwards, isn't it? I mean, James says, "Consider it all joy," and you'd think he'd say, like, when everything's going great, when you're on the mountaintop, when you have no problems. But he doesn't say that. He says, "Consider it all joy when you struggle, when you go through difficulties, because that's going to build that perseverance in us, and that perseverance ultimately leads to a trust and a faith in God, then that all things are going to work together for good."
Yeah. And then I ran across this snippet as well, and it says, "In the midst of our pain and suffering, we are able to see God's presence. We're able to trust that God will bring good from our suffering, as he promised in Romans 8:28. That he emphasizes with us through his Son and is actively engaging in the midst of our trials." God is always with us.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, that's the theme of our Bible study next Wednesday night. We've been walking through the names of Jesus in our Wednesday night Bible study. We started with King, Christ, Messiah, the royal names of Jesus. Yesterday, we talked about Savior. And then next week, we're talking about Emmanuel. And that's such a great name. But, so often we only talk about Jesus being Emmanuel one time a year at Christmas. When we think about the idea that this baby is born and you name him Emmanuel, which means God with us. But why don't we think about that all the time? God is always with us. That's such a powerful and overwhelming thought.
Yeah, just like my week this week, I said it was a transformational week for my family, and just having God walk with me in my family, and knowing that the trust is there. And I was anxious at times, but you know what? In the end, it all worked out.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So look, if you're going through some stuff today, maybe you just tuned in and you're like, man, this has been a rough day, a rough week, a rough month, a rough decade. I don't know what's going on, but please know that there is a God who loves you so much, and he is fully represented to us in the person of Jesus. And if you just place your trust and your faith in Jesus, that's God with you. And there's going to be a peace that's going to come. It may not be instantaneous. It may not be something that's even dramatic in your life. But the promise is that God will comfort you, and that he'll see you through. So hang in there, and just know that there is a God who loves you so much and wants to have a relationship with you.
Yep. And so, you can, this weekend, we are, as mentioned, we're going into Joy, and you can see online, you can see the worship service at 10 a.m. We also have an in-person at 5 p.m. and an in-person at 8 a.m. So please feel free to join us. You can see us on Facebook, YouTube, and the Pekin First app and website.
Now, you can't miss us. I mean, we're everywhere.
We are
everywhere.
we're even we even got Sean doing snow angels in the front yard. So, things going on here at Pekin First. There's so much going on at Pekin First. The Pekin First men. We were in another meeting earlier, and one of the guys from Pekin First Men, and they meet the second Tuesday of every month. So the next one is in January. So if you want to start your New Year's off and just have a great conversation with a bunch of guys, Pekin First Men, and they are going through, I forgot the study.
It's a Jim Cymbala study on spiritual warfare right now.
Yep.
Yeah, very powerful.
Yep. And it touched his heart, and he gave a wonderful just a synopsis of what was going on and how good it was. Yeah. So if you're interested in that, we also have God's Gals that they've been doing a lot with the youth. Yeah, wrapping gifts in Cunningham Children's Home, and so they are very, very busy. And they meet the second Tuesday of the month at 10 a.m. right here at Pekin First. And then Providence Place. Last night we had a Jimbo Jumbos, which was very good. Yeah. I don't get down to Jimbo's Jumbos enough. But we had a fundraiser last night. If you're interested in, we're doing some blocking and stuff like that while the plumbers and the electricians are doing their thing. But we could use a little help down at Providence Place. So if you're interested in helping there, I encourage you to contact the church office. And then December 22nd promises to be a fantastic night.
It sure does. It's going to be our Christmas concert, Home for Christmas. It's going to feature our praise and worship band and singers, and I'm just telling you guys, they are top notch. I mean, I wouldn't tell you that they were if they weren't. They are so good. Some of the best talent in the area. So come on out, 7 o'clock on Sunday night, December 22nd. Bring your whole family and enjoy an evening of contemporary Christian music, Christmas music with our band. They have a set that they put up that is phenomenal. Just going to feel like Christmas at home. And then we're also going to be taking some donations that night for Christian Civic Outreach. They need some hygiene items for folks who are struggling or people who are dealing with homelessness. And so if you can pick up some soap, bars of soap, some shampoo, some deodorant, and bring those also, that'd be a wonderful way to give back to some folks who really need it this Christmas.
Yep, and you got to come and see the stage. You got to come and see the background they have set up. It's amazing. And then just to back up just a little bit, this weekend, which is is it the 14th, 15th? Yeah, 14th and 15th.
Yeah.
The ladies here at the church and some of the I guess guys at the church are making homemade soup to sell here at the church. And nothing, especially on a snowy day, which the snow will still be hanging out.
Yeah.
Nothing beats a fresh homemade batch of soup.
I want some right now.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we got the Christmas concert on the 22nd. We've got, and then December 24th, Christmas Eve, we have a 7 p.m. service that will feature our vocal choir and our bell choir. And that's a more traditional service with the organ and some hymns and stuff like that. And we have, I hear some angels showing up at that service.
I do believe there will be angels. I hope there'll be angels at both services, but we know for certain that there will be angels at the first service, and they'll probably be little angels, like maybe childlike angels. I don't know.
And then at 11 o'clock, we're one of the only churches around to have an 11 p.m. service, so that we ring into Christmas right here at the church. So 11 p.m. service, and it is a more acoustic type of service that our praise and worship band puts on.
Yep.
So
There'll be candles at both services. We'll light candles. We'll sing Silent Night, Joy to the World, all those great Christmas songs. It'll just be a wonderful way to prepare your heart for what Christmas is really all about.
Absolutely. All right. Well, that does it for us today. And just remember, as I say at the end of all of my broadcasts, God put us here to do great things. So let's go do great things.
God bless.